Hello, friends. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. I am so glad you've made it. Today, I'm going to be telling you all about my experience getting tattooed over scars, pain, healing, possible difficulties you might be running into during your session, things to keep in mind about your design and before getting tattooed, and how to tell if a scar is ready to be tattooed over. Please keep in mind that I am not a tattooer. I have asked a handful of tattooers about this topic, and some of the stuff is just things that I was told or that I experienced during my sessions. Obviously, this is not going to be a comprehensive guide on how to tattoo over scars properly, like the right techniques or anything, but more so my own experience, again, regarding pain, healing, how it feels actually getting tattooed, and just everything else around this topic. Before we start, I would also ask everyone watching this to please keep it nice and respectful in the comments. I know there are plenty of reasons people have scars and plenty of reasons people would want to cover up those scars. In my personal case, they stem from a time where I wasn't very kind to myself, which can be a very sensitive subject for a lot of people, myself included. So please just be nice to each other and be nice to me. Thank you. If this is not the video for you right now, I completely understand, and I will see you next time. For everyone else, let's get into it. When can you get scar tissue tattooed? Obviously, this is something that you're going to need to check with your tattooer prior to making your appointment. Please tell your tattooer upfront if you're specifically looking to get scar tissue tattooed, because this can affect the design, and if the scars aren't healed enough yet, they won't be able to tattoo them anyway. As a general rule of thumb, you should let your scar heal for at least 1 year before getting it tattooed. If it's especially large or deep or raised, you should definitely give it more time. If your scar is flat and only a little bit lighter or darker than your regular skin tone, usually that means you're good to go. It is, of course, possible to get both hypertrophic scars, which are the really raised ones, and hyperpigmented scars, which are scars that are darker than the surrounding skin area tattooed, as long as they are healed for long enough. For those, I would definitely be a little more cautious and give them maybe a couple of years to heal versus only a year. It's not a guarantee they'll get lighter or flatter, but at least you have given them enough time to heal properly. Make sure the tattooer you're booking with knows what they're doing. If it's possible, try to get an in-person consultation with your tattooer so they can actually see what they're going to be dealing with, because sometimes the severity and bumpiness of scars doesn't translate as well on photos as it does in real life. And just so everyone involved knows what they're dealing with, so that your tattooer knows if they maybe need to adapt the design they had in mind. Things to keep in mind regarding the design of your tattoo. It is, in general, possible to get virtually any design you want to cover your scars, but please keep in mind that no tattoo will ever completely erase the texture that you may have from your scar or make the scar disappear completely. It's just a picture on top of your scar tissue. It's never going to be smooth, flat, regular skin again. Generally, organic stuff like plants, trees, flowers, that sort of stuff work really well for covering scars versus geometric and like line work heavy designs. Those might not work as well to hide the scars, just because it is really hard to get crisp straight lines over top of scar tissue just because of the nature of scar tissue. Which brings me to the next thing: scars don't hold ink well. Your tattoo might heal patchy or uneven or just not take in certain spots. There is also a way higher chance of blurry lines, fading, blowouts, just because of the way that scar tissue is. It's just not normal skin. Again, not a tattooer, can't really explain the difference to you. I just know it's different. Because of that, and depending on the shape and nature of your scar, you might also want to consider incorporating it into your tattoo design versus just covering it up. There are tattooers who specialize in that specific sort of scar cover up, where they just add things around to incorporate the scar into your tattoo and just make it look really cool, and like it's an intentional part of your tattoo and not just a scar that was tattooed around, which is pretty cool, I think. Let's talk about pain. Now, getting a tattoo is gonna hurt no matter what, right? Let's be so fucking for real here. However, and this is mostly my own experience, but also what I've heard from other people, unless you have like severe nerve damage in the area of your scar and have lost all feeling there, it's gonna hurt a lot more than just getting regular skin tattooed. Another fun thing that scar tissue likes to do is it gets really, really raised and aggravated and swells a lot during tattooing, which can be super scary if you're not prepared for it or if you don't know it's gonna happen, which are the same thing. Just a word of warning. It's gonna swell. It's gonna swell a lot. For me, the tattoo that covers the biggest area of scar tissue is, can I show you like this? Is this one on my arm, which like overall isn't that big, but it had to be broken up into 3 sessions, I think, maybe 4, and took overall about twice as long as both of my thigh pieces, even though it is much, much smaller, just because we had to take so many breaks because the swelling was so bad at times. There were stretches where my tattooer could only work on it for like 30 minutes, and then we had to take a break for like 15 minutes, put a cold towel on it and have the fan blasting on it just to get like the swelling to go down a little bit. Again, I'm not a tattooer, but I think, at least in my case, the main issue wasn't the swelling alone, but the fact that the area is super bumpy because there's just a bunch of tiny scars, and it's like really bumpy and raised even without any swelling. And obviously it's not going to swell all at once, it's going to swell kind of unevenly, so I think that was like the bigger factor versus just the swelling. Honestly, shout out to my tattooer Matt, you're a fucking trooper, and thank you so much for letting me book with you after everything I put you through the first couple of sessions. I don't know if this is going to make the final cut or not, but just in case, in the next portion of this video I will be discussing potential triggers for people who have dealt with self-harm during the tattooing and healing process. So if that is not something you want to hear about, please feel free to skip ahead to whatever number I'm putting here. I purposely got my first handful of tattoos in areas where I used to self-harm the most, which not only meant large areas of scar cover-ups for my first tattoos, so much fun, but also being triggered in a lot of ways that I really didn't expect. Also fun, so fun. I'm gonna be so fucking blunt. The line work at times straight up felt like cutting. I think all of my scar cover-up tattoos were split into at least 2 sessions. So I'd have to go home with just the line work done. And like, mind you, I was 17 and I had not developed any healthy coping skills after years of self-harm being my only coping skill. So I would just have to go home after what felt like relapsing for hours and just like sit in my discomfort, and also deal with a very familiar kind of pain for the first couple of days. And it was just it was hard. It was very challenging for me. I really couldn't tell you if my other tattoos were less triggering because I was further along in my healing journey, or because I just knew what to expect, or because they weren't in places where I was used to self-harming. I really don't know, but they were a lot easier knowing what to expect. I didn't feel that way about any of my other tattoos. So, you know, knock on wood. it stays that way. But yeah, if you have like specifically self-harm scars, make sure you're in a place or you're equipped to deal with potentially getting triggered, because it's not that great to just go through that and like sit there triggered as hell wanting to fucking die. Just make sure you're equipped to deal with that. I'm really not good at talking about feelings and stuff. I know it might sound really dramatic to some people, but not knowing what to expect or what the experience was going to feel like was very difficult for me, because I just did not expect to be so triggered. So I figured I would just put this portion in case it helps anyone have an easier time than I did. Hello, it's Editing Joe. You have not seen me in a while because I've gotten a lot more organized with the way I recorded videos, apparently, except for this one. I forgot to include like a little clippy of me saying that I'm about to show you some of the tattoos I have that cover scar tissue. I got them all, I think, within a year and a half of each other. All the tattoos are pretty much the same age in the grand scheme of things. Just as like a visual reference, because I know I talked about the texture is still going to be there. It's just going to be a picture over your scars, right? There are also some examples of like a little bit of blurring and some, I don't think I have blowouts necessarily, but just so you can have like a visual example of what tattoo scars can look like. I don't want to say enjoy, because that's really fucking weird in this context. Here are my tattoos. Anyways, that once again brings us to the end of this video. If there's anything else that you would like to know on this topic that maybe I didn't cover in this video, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I would be so happy to chat with you. If you maybe have your own experience with getting a scar or scars tattooed over or enhanced, maybe you're one of those cool people who have their scar incorporated into a tattoo and you feel comfortable talking about it, of course, I would absolutely love hearing about that as well. If you enjoy these types of videos and you would like to see more, please let me know by liking this video and maybe consider subscribing if you would like to see more from yours truly. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me yap, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!